For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble, 30 minutes of time-wasting fun today. And fun, or maybe, let's call it ranting. That's the fun ranting. Can I double them up? I'll combine them. Fun ranting. Restaurants. You know, we could take this from so many different angles. People who work in restaurants, their big gripes, their beefs, their pet peeves, their annoyances. Or we can stick with the customer perspective and the dining experience at restaurants. And I think, we heard for years when food delivery apps came around, right? When they started to really take off and become popular, we heard that, in-house dining at restaurants was going down, right? People were just, I don't have to go to the restaurant anymore. I'll just, and you hear about how that's going to affect the business model, right? Because you're not ordering drinks. The average bill isn't going to be as much. Well, they took care of that by just charging you $4 more for everything that, that you're having delivered to you. And then, of course, we had the pandemic, which shut down restaurants all over the world. And a lot of them closed, had to lay off people, closed permanently, I guess, sometimes. So the restaurant industry is it's hotly contested in terms of, we hear about these razor thin margins that restaurants have, but then I look at it and go, wait a second, why am I paying $15 for a half glass of wine? You give me the giantest of giant goblets for my wine, and it's barely even, a quarter full, and I'm sitting here going, really? And I paid $15 for this glass? For a thimble full of wine? A shot glass full of wine? Really? Anyway, I went on that rant a few weeks ago on the show, but I'm going to talk about restaurants and my observations about the dining experience on the Scribble, starting right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here on The Scribble. When we were younger growing up, I've got two older brothers and then I've got my parents, of course. We didn't go to sit down fancy restaurants. We would go to McDonald's, and it usually was a Friday, and we never understood why, but it was payday. That's why we would go on a Friday. And we would go to the McDonald's where there was in the basement, there was a playland, not like the ones that you had, but there was I don't know what you'd call it. It wasn't a merry-go-round. It was like the spinning burger. Again, if you're a certain age, you know what I'm talking about. You would turn, there was a steering wheel kind of a thing in the middle. You would turn it one way but it would spin the other way, if that makes sense. So I'm turning it, like if I'm going to turn right in a car, so I'm turning the wheel to the right, this is spinning left then. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like the teacups, I guess, at Disney. There you go. There's a good example of it. That's kind of what it was. It was like a giant burger is what this thing was. And it didn't go around, it stayed in one spot, but you just spun around. That was kind of it. It didn't go around like a track or anything, or, it didn't rotate the entire thing. It was just this burger, screwed into the ground that spun around. And then there was a couple other things you could, climb on or bounce around or sit on and wobble back and forth and different kinds of things. So those were the restaurants that I was exposed to as a kid. McDonald's, all right? Not uncommon when you're a kid. Were our parents going to be taking us to the big, formal, fancy? No, of course not. First of all, they didn't really dine like that anyway. Secondly, why are you going to waste your money taking, a 6-year-old to a steakhouse? Like, what, no, definitely not. So now, as I'm an adult, and my husband and I, we both have no interest in cooking whatsoever. And he's a fitness model, and I don't really have junk food. Neither of us has junk food cravings. He obviously watches what he eats because that's his job to keep his body like that. So we're very boring in the kitchen, and so we dine out a lot. I would say that we... Well, do we dine out? I'm trying to think if we dine out literally every day. Maybe we do. Almost every day we do. We dine out. So whether that's just grabbing something like a sub or tacos or something and bringing it home, or having it delivered, we do go to restaurants. And I've talked about our dining schedule. We will go, because we sleep in the mornings. Our day starts late. So when we have lunch, you all have lunch probably at noon, 1 o'clock ish, maybe 11 if you go a little bit earlier, but sometime maybe early afternoon. Because our day doesn't start until almost noon some days, we don't have lunch until about 3:30, maybe 4 o'clock. So you would probably laugh at us thinking that we're having dinner if you see us at the restaurant. No, we're actually just having lunch. And we like that time because there's not very many people. It's, you don't have the annoyances. You don't have, kids screaming. You don't have the loud plates clanking. You don't have to wait forever because there's nobody there. So it's also just kind of a nice, kind of private time. I know the restaurants probably absolutely hate it because they like a nice empty restaurant between that lunch and dinner rush. But at the same time, if you're on the serving staff, you're kind of like, well, I'm not making money if I'm not, serving in, tips or whatever. So you appreciate it. So that's when we generally will go for lunch, is that, late afternoon kind of time period. Dinners, again, because we've eaten lunch so late, we probably, if we do eat something at night, it's going to be, 9:30, 10 o'clock. You don't really have, you have maybe lounges or sports bars, but dining rooms in restaurants are kind of winding down at that point. So we will sometimes go to a restaurant at that time of the night. That's when we'll order something usually. But I think back to a time when I was a kid, and my mom... It was a Friday, and she was a teacher at a school not too far from where I was going to school. I was in junior high. She was at an elementary school. And we would, on Fridays, she would pick me up, and we would go to KFC. Sometimes we would go to Wendy's. Did we ever go to McDonald's? Maybe we did too. But it was a fast food restaurant anyway. And so there was one time when we went to KFC, and I had to laugh because we went in, and there was nobody... customer-wise, there was nobody in the restaurant. This is a Friday at lunchtime. Friday at lunchtime, nobody in KFC. And again, we're going back 30-some years, right? It would have been hopping, right? It's not like it was dead because everybody was ordering food for delivery. No, we're 30 years ago. Like you were going to the restaurant on a Friday afternoon. And again, that's whether you worked in the neighborhood or it was the school kids in the neighborhood, or you go out for lunch on a Friday. That's just kind of the thing that people would do. So we go there, and they get to the counter, and the cashier, whatever you call them, counter person, has this like look of not fear. I don't know what the look would be like. Just this like a deer in the headlights kind of look, and asked my mom, "You're not here for chicken, are you?" And my mom was like, "Yeah, we don't have any chicken right now." I mean, like, think about that. You go to a fried chicken restaurant. You go to the Colonel, and the Colonel is not kerneling. They didn't have chicken. So we later found out, because so what was interesting was one of the managers there, her daughter went to school at my mom's school. So my mom knew the manager. I found out later that's why we went there, because if Crystal, this woman, was there, we would get a discount. That's why my mom would go. Anyway, so my mom told me later, we didn't know this in the moment, but my mom told me later that they ended up having a big order. So whether it was, maybe an office, or did a catering order or something. It was kind of last minute. Basically took all the chicken. That's what it was. And so they were scrambling because it was, again, if you're going to have somebody come in and go, I want every piece of chicken, give me all 100 pieces of chicken, you're going to do it. You're not going to, maybe you would say no to them. Maybe you would say, you know what, sorry, you would have to phone ahead for something like that. We can't give you everything. But at the same time, if they're going to clear you out, they're going to clear you out. Why not? It's a good problem to have. It's going to fuck over the people that are coming to dine in at lunch, but whatever. Maybe if you were resourceful, you could hit up if there's another KFC location close by, right? Manager, hey, can we get, a couple buckets and we can use them here at our restaurant? But again, if it was something that just came up out of nowhere, sure. You can't really plan ahead for something like that. But anyway, so they didn't have chicken. That's what the person had told my mom after. But can you imagine, you're going to a restaurant, we don't have any food right now. I'm sorry. All right. I guess it happens. One of the other things though, is I don't like, when I'm going into, whether even if it's a retail store, but it happens a lot at restaurants, I don't want to hear the staff's conversations. I think about it. So if I'm talking about, when you're in a retail store and you'll hear the girl, I'm going on my break now. Okay. Or they'll be talking about just something social or casually. I don't want to hear that. Same thing at a restaurant. I don't want them when they're punching in something or if they're walking by, I don't want to hear the staff talking socially. I just don't want to. It's always weird for me. Have your conversations. Don't have it in front of customers. So there was one time when I was at a restaurant. This was an actual, a sit down. It was an Italian restaurant. I'd gone there with my friend. We'd gone there later in the day, and this restaurant was notorious for having very, very slow service. In fact, believe it or not, they actually put something on the menu that said, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this was the actual wording. Good food takes time. So they're already making an excuse that it's going to take a long time to get your food. Now, here's the thing. That's a crock of shit. Good food takes time. But you know what? If you prep your food properly, you're helping yourself, when it comes time to a busy dinner service. But you're already making excuses for your slow service before I've even, right? So now you can't go and complain because it's like, oh, here's the menu. Oh, good food takes time. Okay. So that, we're in for a wait. We're already going to be waiting. And so I'd gone to this place a couple times, with, different people. So I'd gone with a friend, and, I'm a talker, right? So it's not just going to be a quick, we're going to eat and then we're going to leave. We're going to probably sit there. We're going to order another drink or two, right? We're going to keep going. And at restaurants, that's, at least back when I worked at Red Lobster years ago, was maybe the restaurant did close at 11. If you've got a table or, people in the bar that are still drinking, still, ordering wings or whatever it is, you with your own discretion, to whoever the manager or whoever it is, will go and say, you know what, whatever. We still, if we're paying the bills, right? We'll let the rest of the staff go home. That's fine. But, we'll keep the bartender because these people are ordering. And you would do that with nights where there was, a late football or, baseball, hockey game, whatever. Some kind of, if you're showing it on the TV in the bar, people are still sitting there and drinking. If the game is running long, whatever, right? It's money, right? It's sales. So I get that. So we were at this restaurant, and we had eaten, but again, it took a long time to get the food. And we're sitting there. Now, we were, it was kind of weird because there was the main sort of dining area, and then there was, you would go around the corner, and there was 2 steps up, and there was kind of like a little smaller dining area with maybe like 4 other tables. So we weren't in kind of like the main restaurant. We were kind of, I don't want to call it overflow, but it was, we were kind of just off the, anyway. So it was a husband and wife that owned this restaurant, and I don't know if the servers were, family or whoever it was. We could hear them complaining about us from around the corner, complaining that we're not leaving. And I kind of just, now me being the dick that I am at this stage in my life, I would have got up and gone around the corner and said, sorry, did you want to talk to us? Or was that, Is that we didn't know? You can come and talk. That's all right if you wanted to trash talk us to our face, because we can give it right back to you. Now, again, this is before the days of Yelp reviews and things like that, because I totally would have. Actually, I was a restaurant reviewer at our college newspaper, and I wrote a report about it. But anyway, so we're sitting, and we can hear them bitching about us. And we won't leave. Now, again, we were still ordering drinks, but your restaurant is open. This is the thing. It's not like you closed at 11 and we're still here at 12:30. I worked in a restaurant. I know that you're cleaning up the kitchen 30 minutes before you close, right? If a table comes in 10 minutes before you close, it's fuck, right? You just don't want to deal with that. So clean the rest of the restaurant. Go clean up the tables, get prep for your morning then. Roll the cutlery, set the tables, do something so you don't have to come in early tomorrow then, right? Like, just do something to fill the time. We're still paying. We're still ordering drinks. We're still, we're not ordering more food. You can send the kitchen home, whatever it is. And it's your restaurant. It's not like this is some corporate chain. This is a husband and wife that own the restaurant. So, you know what? Fucking deal with it. That's part of the gig. So, anyway, so we hear them trash talking us from around the corner. I don't know that I've ever gone there since then. Like I said, but this is about like 20 years ago now, more than that. But I just thought, wow, that's so ballsy. Now, it makes you wonder, though, were they doing that on purpose, right? Were they wanting us to hear them as like, take the hint and get the fuck out of our restaurant, it's time to go? Because you could go and say, well, they just didn't want to be impolite to come up and go, oh, by the way, we're closed now. Could you leave? No, that's even worse to hear it from around. You're bitching about us. I mean, so they're certainly not shy about hurting our feelings or, being, oh, this is a little bit awkward. We're closed now. Would you mind leaving? Whatever. But yeah, I remember that. Now, one of the other situations that this actually just happened the other day with Lisa, my husband's assistant, I was out somewhere and she called me or I called her, whatever it was, but we were having a conversation, and coincidentally we just happened to be in the same neighborhood. She doesn't live anywhere close to me, but we kind of met halfway. I was halfway to her place, she was halfway to my, whatever it was, we were in the same neighborhood. So I was out running around doing something at the mall, I guess, and we're talking, and she's just like, oh my god, wait a second, because I had said like a store or I had said something, and so she's like, I think I'm right. Like, where are you? So I said, she's like, oh my god, I'm like 5 minutes away. So we get together, and she's like, well, let's just grab a drink or whatever. Because I think it was 3 p.m, maybe 4 p.m. We didn't know where to go. Typical when I get together with people, right? We know we're going to get together, but we just don't know what we're going to do. So I had walked somewhere because it was nice out, so I didn't have a car or anything. So she comes and she picks me up, and we go to a lounge, and we walk in and we go down the 2 steps. It was one of those like slot machine kind of lounges where it's at 4 p.m. It's kind of just the dumpy people. Think about like a daytime strip club. Like it's that crowd. The people that are. It's 4 p.m. You're not doing anything. You're gonna just piss away your money into a slot machine. So it was a lounge, and it was kind of a dumpy sort of a place anyway. So we come in, and we just seat ourselves at the table, and this woman, trashy woman, comes over, lumbers over. She's got the mustache and everything, and she's like, can I get you guys something? And so we went, and there were 2 menus on the table, and then she said, you're not here for food, are you? And so I looked at Lisa, and then I looked later, like, are you kicking us out? And she's like, no, people just think this is the restaurant. So we didn't realize that we were in a hotel, technically. The hotel had a restaurant, which was to the right. Then there was this lounge place that we had gone into, but there was also another restaurant connected to the hotel that used to be a nightclub, but it turned into sort of like a small kind of a chain restaurant. And so she said some people come in here and think that we are one of those restaurants, even though they're kind of all the same company. And so I said, do you want us to leave then? She's like, no, I just want to make it clear because you can't order like the food from the hotel restaurant for here. And so we said, no, well, then we'll just have a drink. So then we're looking at the menus, and we see that we could order from the non-hotel restaurant. And so, we ordered some drinks, and then I ended up getting don't remember what it was, nachos or something. We just had some kind of nibbly sort of a thing. So then this is the I hate when, and I realize that they're doing it because they either want their tip now, but it's when they come over and go, just let you know that my shift is over now, and so like, would you kind of mind settling up and tipping me right now because I gotta go? Here's the thing. And again, maybe it's the restaurant policy or the lounge's policy, to kind of, and it's also just polite because she's letting us know that she's leaving, right? Because now all of a sudden somebody else comes over. It's like, oh, she didn't even say bye. She just kind of like took off on us. So I get it. I get that. But I don't know the purpose of it. Do you need the tip right now? Or, we're tipping you from a debit machine. So maybe you're going to end up cashing out and taking bills from the register. The $1.50 we're going to leave you because she wasn't really all that attentive and, all that great. And I have an issue with tipping anyway. It's kind of like, why am I paying you to do your job? But that's another issue. So we go, and again, just not making us feel welcome at all. Just kind of, ugh. And then doing the, just, would you mind settling up now? And even just that term, settling up, as though like we're in debt right now, or like it's like we're still eating. It's not my problem that your shift is over. I'm not even finished you're asking me to pay as I'm still putting food in my mouth. So I just didn't like the experience at all. Like, it was just kind of, it was kind of gross. So, with this platter of nachos or whatever it was that we had, there was a drink with it, and then like an appetizer, even though the nachos was considered an entree. But you could get like chicken fingers or just kind of something small, nibbly with it. So that's what we got for like $20 or something. And so she had brought me a refill of my drink, which I don't know if I was having ginger ale or something. I just kind of had whatever. So we just kind of got pissed off about that whole thing. So she had just brought me the refill. And so I'd said to Lisa, I'm like, I'm just in a mood now. Like, I don't want to stay here. Like, let's just go. So she said, but you just got the refill, right? So yes, we could have just left, or we could have, just whatever. And really, what is that ginger ale going to cost them? It's not really that expensive. So Lisa went up to the bar. Even though this was also another weird thing. So she wants us to settle up now because she still stood around talking for another like 20 something minutes or so. And I thought, usually that means that she's leaving now. Why is she still like fucking standing around talking? That just, Anyway, so Lisa goes up to the counter, asks the bartender, can we just get like a to-go glass or whatever? We just got this refill, and the drink was like $4 or something for the drink. So the bartender says, well, we just have these like paper coffee cups, but we don't have lids. So Lisa comes back to the table and she has 2 coffee cups. And I said, what the fuck is that? Like, what? Really? They do take out orders for these delivery apps and things like that, right? So, I mean, if somebody's going to order an orange juice or Coke or whatever it is, I mean, it's going to come from that little tap machine, the little fountain machine or whatever you call it. That's what they have there. So, because we were in a mood, because I was mostly in a mood, Lisa was also getting pissed off too. Because we're thick as thieves, we giggle and we laugh. We're like teenage girls sometimes. So we're kind of sitting there. Now, the table where we were sitting was sort of out in the open. And so she said to me, just take the glass. And I start laughing, going, we're just going to stand up and walk out. So she's like, well, no, let's make it look like we're going to go and play a couple of slot machines. So let's just kind of casually just pick up your glass, and, we'll just walk around. Because the exit or the entrance, whatever, the door to the place was kind of up and around the corner anyway. So from where the bartender is, or where the bar actually is in this lounge, they wouldn't have seen us leaving. But then you've got this awkwardness of, I'm going to be walking through this, these hallways and then just leaving. Well, again, we could have been a hotel guest or something. So, whatever. I'm just walking around. And so we just started laughing because I said, fuck it. I'm taking the glass and everything. I took my glass and my straw, and we pretended like we were going to go and play some slot machines. And then we just casually walked out, and I stole a glass from the restaurant. I sure did. Sure did. Here's why, too. Lisa ordered, at the beginning when we first sat down, a sparkling water, or like a fizzy kind of a water. It was $4. When the bill came to our table, I paid, because I'm, a good person. there was coffee on it. We didn't have coffee. So I asked the sloth at the counter who, would, and again, I don't like the vibe of, it feels like I'm inconveniencing you by asking you a question or calling you over again. It's your fucking job. Anyway, so she slothed over, and I said, we didn't have coffee. And she's like, that's the water. And so I looked at Lisa, I said, I paid $4 fucking for a glass of water? We need to steal more of these cups then. But anyway, so that's why. Who's the real thief here, charging $4 for a glass of fizzy water? I am not the thief here. I'm balancing out what I fucking paid for it, because the glass that I took probably didn't even cost $4 itself either. Anyway, so let me ask you, have you ever stolen like cutlery or anything from a restaurant? Have you? I went to, now I'm admitting to criminal activity. I had gone, should I tell the story? I've started to already. Okay. Do you guys, hold on, let me just ask, you guys know, what I'm talking, the wedding? Yeah, okay. So, how long ago was it? It was, I guess, in the summer or early fall. My husband and I, because again, I've been an entertainment host for 20 years, and we're in Los Angeles, and I know a lot of celebrities, and I wouldn't say that I'm besties with them, that we're, hanging out, whatever, but there's a couple of them that, I speak to on a regular basis, and I name drop as a joke, but I'm not really a name dropper in real life. So we were invited to a celebrity wedding, and it was a very high profile wedding. Now people are going to be Googling, like, who got married in the fall? Who does he know? Who is it? I'm not saying the name. But anyway, it was a very, very high profile wedding. And so I said to my husband, I'm like, I'm going to take one of the napkins, because they're fabric and whatever, right? They weren't like just fucking paper napkins and that little like metal thing in the middle of your table at the restaurant. These are, and a set of the cutlery. So, because this is, whatever. Think about it. People will take a centerpiece. Somebody else paid for that. Whatever. That's fine. It's going to get thrown out anyway. But yeah, so I did. I stole a napkin, a rolled cutlery into a napkin, and we pocketed it. And so we stole it from a celebrity wedding. Because, again, this is one of those things where I'm like, I know where it's from. I know what the deal is. I know who it was. And again, the celebrity is a millionaire, close to billionaire, by the way. Oh, no, actually, she is a billionaire. Okay, anyway, I'm leaving it at that, because if I talk more, you're going to figure out who I'm talking about, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not a name dropper. But yes, have you stolen something from a restaurant? Cutlery, a glass, a plate, packages of ketchup? Send me an email, live, L-I-V-E, at jbonair.com, live at jbonair.com. I used to do that, the flowers, for some reason as a kid, I loved flowers, and so I would always want to, and you would always see the girls, or, the women that want to take the centerpiece of the flowers. I was like, I'd like a flower. Can I take home a flower? The little gay boy wants the flowers. And now, fun fact, my husband gives me flowers every week. He does. Yep. Either they show up to the house, or he brings them, or they're delivered to the office. And now I'm not gonna lie. Lisa, his assistant, is usually the one who coordinates it, but I do get flowers for my husband every week. So there you go. Take a quick break, and I have more. I'm just trying to think. We're almost out of time. I'll try to wrap this up quickly. Let's talk about tipping when we come back on the Scribble.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here on the Scribble. We're out of time, and I know that I've bitched about tipping many times before here on the show. My big question is, again, why am I paying you to do your job? People say that it's rewarding good service. Again, I'm not the employer that I'm supposed to be patting you on the head and going, good job tonight, good job. In what other industries do we do that? Right? I mean, it's just not something that we do. Again, you're going to argue and say, well, in other industries, the pay is better, whatever. Well, you signed up for that salary or that wage or that, whatever it is. So you kind of have to deal with it. I mean, that's just sort of the way it is. You can't go and say, oh yes, I'd like to do the job for $4 an hour. Well, that's what you agreed to. So deal with it. But don't rely on me to, pat you on the head and go, good job today, because you walked back and forth. You walked back and forth. My cousin, we're out of time. Oh, I wanted to, whatever. I know that I went on a rant about tipping. Maybe it was a few months ago already on the show, but just other thing that I want to talk about is the ice in glasses. My God, could you water it down anymore? Have you done this, by the way, when you've had food delivery? Have you ever strained your glass and shown, like, to see how much ice was actually in it versus how much liquid, how much beverage that you paid for? So let's say it's a fountain drink, a Coke, a Pepsi, whatever, root beer or something. You look at it and it's half ice. So I will sometimes take the lid, right? I'll get a glass from the counter or from the cupboard, one probably stolen from a restaurant, and I'll strain it. So I'll put the lid from the glass, right, and I'll hold it so the ice is being held back in the to-go cup, and then my actual glass is getting filled with the Coke or Pepsi, whatever. And it's like half of the to-go cup is ice after this. So have you ever done that, by the way? This is maybe a tip even for just getting more for your money, is in the instructions when you're ordering, put no drink ice. If I'm paying $3 for something, because you can get the big jug of Coke or, the bottle of jug. You can get the big bottle of Coke or Pepsi for $2 or $3, let alone this, glass that's all ice and then going to be watered down by the time it gets to you from the restaurant and the person has stopped at the 2 other houses that they're dropping food off to. I mean, like, really, I'm getting a glass of watered down root beer now. Yay. And I'm paying how much for it? Wonderful. So, anyway, we're out of time. I gotta go. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. I will talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real